Easter's upon us, which means Christ has risen, and it's another time for me to create the Bible Cinematic Universe Watch Order, or the Bible Watch Order, whatever you want to call it. But what I'm planning on doing is around Easter every single year, I'm going to be posting that previous video, just going to be reposting it, but with an added segment at the beginning, which is going to include all the new projects which released in the last year. So, given that, let's get right into it. And for 2024-2025, there are 3 projects I want to talk about. The first being The Chosen Season 5, which will focus on the Last Supper as a lead up to the Passion of Christ. Further on this, The Chosen as a whole should be watched after Last Days in the Desert, not before, like I mentioned in the initial video. Christ's 40 days in the desert came after his baptism by his cousin John and before his recruitment of the 12 apostles. But this is a very important series to watch. Highly recommend watching The Chosen. It's a great series. I haven't seen season 5 yet, but I've heard great things. Then we also have King of Kings, an animated retelling of the life, death, and resurrection of Christ for younger audiences that can actually replace all the stories from birth to resurrection for those who want to show the life of Christ to their children, or just have a different perspective on it. I'm going to stay watching all the projects that are going to be mentioned in the recap after I finish this segment, but King of Kings, I've heard great things about the movie, star-studded cast, definitely recommend it. And then the last one is The Small One. While this was released in 1978, I didn't even know it actually existed until Christmas 2024, which gave us a fictional origin for where Joseph got the donkey for Mary so they could ride into Bethlehem. While it's not a true story per se, it's one that feeds into the true meaning of what it means to be like Christ and can be looked at as more of a parable in this world, similar to what we have with Ben-Hur and Barabbas. So with that, we can now jump into the recap of the previous video. So let's get right into it.
I don't believe anybody has ever made an all-encompassing list of film interpretations in the Bible, so that's what I'm here to do today. Before I start though, I must warn that while watching these could be a more accessible form of faith, and it's something I'll do throughout Lent, where I'll watch all of the projects in this Bible cinematic universe, I'll call it for now I guess. These are interpretations and not one-to-one copies of the Bible, and this is also the case where we get to the stories of Barabbas and Ben-Hur, which have little legitimacy within the Bible to the extent the films go into, but still tell a beautiful message of finding God in life during the time period of Christ that I believe deserve roles in this world. I will also say I did not include the TV show The Bible in this list, as that show treats each episode as anthology episodes, where each episode would spend maybe 15 minutes on major Bible stories and then jump to the next story. So if you would rather watch that because it's faster, go ahead. But I am somebody who wanted to create this list to feel like I am part of the events that occurred in the Bible instead of just finding a quick way through those events. So I didn't include them. But with that, welcome to Big Flick Energy, and let's get right into it. And we start with the story of Noah with the movie Noah. This film is a biblical epic directed by Darren Aronofsky. It follows the story of Noah, played by Russell Crowe, who receives visions from God about an impending catastrophic flood. Noah, along with his family, builds an enormous ark to save pairs of every animal and preserve life on earth. But this film does take some liberties from the Bible story, and this film can be found through pirating for free, and that's going to be the case for a lot of these films, because it turns out a lot of these religious films were not very big budget and are nowhere to be found on stream. So, as we continue, the story of Noah in the Bible is crucial for several reasons. It establishes God's covenant with humanity, symbolized by the rainbow, showcases the preservation of life through Noah's obedience, serves as a lesson on divine judgment, sets the stage for the repopulation of the earth, and holds symbolic significance in Christian theology, particularly regarding baptism. This is then followed by the story of Abraham with the film His Only Son. It depicts the journey of Abraham, Isaac, and their servants to Mount Moriah, where Abraham intends to sacrifice Isaac, according to the commandment of God. In addition to adapting the biblical account of these events in Genesis 22, the film also contains copious flashbacks to events in the life of Abraham, including his original call, his various encounters with God, struggles with Sarai's infertility, the decision to sleep with Hagar to produce an heir, and the birth of Isaac. This film can be seen on Amazon Prime Video. The story of Abraham in the Bible is crucial for several reasons. It establishes a covenant with God, showcasing unwavering faith and obedience. Abraham is considered the patriarch of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, symbolizing the father of nations. The promise of land, his hospitality, and the genealogy of Christ further contribute to the story's profound impact on religious history and teachings. This is followed by the story of Joseph in Joseph, King of Dreams. This is an animated film that tells the biblical story of Joseph from the book of Genesis. Also, if you're a fan of the Prince of Egypt, this film is made by the same team of creators. Joseph, the son of Jacob, receives a coat of many colors, which causes resentment amongst his brothers. His jealous siblings sell him into slavery, and Joseph faces various challenges, including false accusations and imprisonment. Through his ability to interpret dreams, Joseph rises to prominence in Egypt and eventually becomes a trusted advisor to Pharaoh. This film can be watched for free through pirating, and Joseph's story in Genesis is crucial for its lessons in resilience, forgiveness, and divine providence. From being sold into slavery to becoming a key figure in Egypt, Joseph's journey inspires perseverance. His forgiveness towards his brothers and role in saving his family during the famine demonstrate profound moral and spiritual lessons, making his narrative a significant part of biblical teachings. Speaking of Egypt, this is then followed by the story of Moses in the renowned Prince of Egypt. Raised as the adopted brother of Ramses, the future pharaoh of Egypt, Moses discovers his true identity as an Israelite. After witnessing the suffering of his people, he confronts the pharaoh and demands their freedom. The film depicts the iconic biblical events, including the burning bush, the plagues, and the parting of the Red Sea. As Moses leads the Israelites towards the Promised Land, the narrative explores themes of faith, identity, and the struggle for freedom. This film can be found for free for pirating once again, and Moses is pivotal in the Bible as a lawgiver, prophet, and leader of the Exodus, symbolizing liberation and divine intervention. Delivering the Ten Commandments and mediating the covenant, he shapes moral principles and emphasizes obedience. His foreshadowing of Christ make his story central to the Bible's narrative of God's relationship with his people. After that, we go ahead with watching Samson. The movie follows Samson's journey from his miraculous birth and vow to follow God's commandments to his exploits against the Philistines. Samson's love for Delilah becomes a focal point, leading to his eventual downfall when she betrays him by revealing to the source of his strength, his uncut hair. This film can be watched on Tubi, Sling TV, or Amazon Prime Video. Samson's biblical story is significant as a symbol of extraordinary strength during the time period of the Book of Judges, delivering the Israelites from Philistine oppression. His Nazirite vow underscores dedication to religious principles, while his flaws, especially his vulnerability to Delilah, illustrate the consequences of straying from God's commands. Samson's strategic role and final act of strength prove moral lessons on pride, obedience, and redemption. This is then followed by the new TV series Young David, taking place before the story of David in the Bible. Delve into his humble beginnings as a shepherd, his love for playing the lyre and composing poetry, his fateful encounter with the king's shepherd, and his daring race to save his sheep from a fearsome lion. This show can be watched through Angel Studios, where the first 3 episodes are free to non-subscribers, and for the rest of the season, for the other episodes, you must be subscribed. This show is just a lead-up to Angel Studios' feature film, David, coming out in 2025. We have an idea of what we can see in this film, but for now we'll have to wait. David's story in the Bible is pivotal for several reasons. Anointed as king, he defeats Goliath, demonstrating faith and courage. As a psalmist, he contributes richly to biblical poetry. God establishes an everlasting covenant with David, connecting his lineage to the Messiah. David's military success and establishment of Jerusalem brings stability as well. Despite moral failings, his sincere repentance underscores themes of forgiveness. David's legacy, leading to the birth of Jesus, makes his narrative a key link between the Old and New Testaments. This is then followed by David and Bathsheba, following an older version of the David we will have seen in the show Young David and its follow-up film, David. But obviously, it's not the same team behind the animation for that. This is a different type of film. So, the movie David and Bathsheba is a biblical drama that focuses on the relationship between the king and Bathsheba. The narrative unfolds around David's sin with her, leading to a series of consequences, including divine judgment and internal strife within David's kingdom. The film explores themes of temptation, repentance, and forgiveness, emphasizing the human struggles of even revered figures. Amid political and personal challenges, David's journey towards redemption through God becomes a central aspect of the story, reflecting the biblical narrative found in the second book of Samuel. This film can also be watched on Hulu or Sling TV. This is then followed by the film The Book of Ruth. It tells the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman, and her journey of loyalty, love, and faith. The film follows Ruth's decision to stay with her mother-in-law Naomi after the death of their husbands. They return to Bethlehem, where Ruth gleans in the fields of Boaz, a wealthy landowner. Boaz becomes impressed by Ruth's virtue and eventually marries her. This film can be watched on Tubi or Amazon Prime Video. The narrative explores themes of kindness, redemption, and the role of women in biblical history. It's a poignant portrayal of a woman's resilience and devotion, emphasizing the importance of faithfulness and trust in God's providence. After is the film The Book of Esther, which recounts the story of Esther, a Jewish woman who becomes queen of Persia. The film revolves around Esther's strategic courage to save her people from Haman's plot to exterminate the Jews. Concealing her Jewish identity, Esther navigates the royal court and risks her life to expose Haman's evil plans. Esther's pivotal role in thwarting the genocide and the celebration of the festival of Purim are central elements of the story, showcasing the triumph of justice and the strength of one woman's convictions. This film can be watched on Tubi or Amazon Prime Video, and the narrative highlights themes of bravery, faith, and the providence of God. And after this, we have a film which makes this sort of an unofficial trilogy of sorts, considering the same team made 3 biblical films with the same naming, with the Book of Ruth, the Book of Esther, and now the Book of Daniel. So in this story, taken captive by the Babylonians and brought to their country to serve King Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel sets an example for the other prisoners with his faithfulness to God as he enters the lion's den. Once again, this film can be found on Tubi and Amazon Prime Video. The story of Daniel in the Bible is important for his unwavering faith, ability to interpret dreams, survival in the lion's den, and his role as a model leader in foreign courts. The prophecies in the book, including the rise and fall of empires and the coming of Messiah, contribute to its significance. Speaking of the coming Messiah, we have arrived at this part of the Bible with the film The Nativity story. It chronicles the events leading up to the birth of Jesus Christ. The story revolves around Mary and Joseph, a young couple living in Nazareth, as they navigate the challenges of Mary's unexpected pregnancy and the political unrest under King Herod. The film follows their journey to Bethlehem, where Jesus is eventually born in a humble manger. This film can be found for free through pirating, and the Nativity story is pivotal in the Bible, representing the incarnation of God as Jesus Christ. It fulfills Old Testament prophecies, signaling the arrival of the promised Messiah. This narrative forms the foundation of the Christian salvation story, emphasizing humility, the inclusion of all people, and the concept of Emmanuel, God with us. We then continue with the birth of Christ in the film The 3 Wise Men. It's an animated film that retells the biblical story of the journey of the Magi, or the 3 Wise Men, however you want to call them, to Bethlehem, to witness the birth of Jesus. The film follows Melchior, Gaspar, and Balthazar, 3 kings from different regions, as they embark on their quest guided by the Star of Bethlehem. Along their journey, they face various challenges and encounter diverse characters, ultimately reaching the stable where Jesus is born. This film can be found on VIX and Amazon Prime Video. This story symbolizes the recognition of Jesus' birth by individuals from diverse backgrounds. Their journey fulfills Old Testament prophecies as well. The wise men represent the universal appeal of Jesus' message, emphasizing that it is for all people. Their warning to Joseph about King Herod also contributes to the Holy Family's escape to Egypt, fulfilling prophecies and highlighting divine protection. We then jump into a lesser-known period of Jesus' life with the film The Young Messiah, a film that does take some liberties from the truth, but still tells a powerful story of who Christ is and will be after this. It explores a fictionalized account of Jesus as a young boy. Based on Anne Rice's novel, Christ the Lord Out of Egypt, the movie depicts Jesus at the age of 7, discovering his divine identity. Accompanied by his family, Mary and Joseph, and their interactions with historical and biblical figures, young Jesus grapples with understanding his unique gifts and purpose. The narrative weaves elements of drama, faith, and self-discovery as the Holy Family faces various challenges, ultimately leading to a deeper understanding of Jesus' extraordinary nature. This film has 3 fruit priority, and this film aims to provide a unique perspective on the childhood of Jesus and his journey towards fulfilling his divine mission. A mission we will see him continue to build to as we watch the renowned TV show, The Chosen, depicting the life and miracles of Jesus Christ. This television show is adapted from the 4 Gospels and goes deep into many of the chapters of the Gospels, whether it be the wedding at Cana where Jesus turned the water into wine, or Jesus fishing and miraculously catching hundreds of fish. It's a powerful show that gives an understanding of the calmness Jesus would give to those who heard his word and saw his actions. Matter of fact, episodes 1 through 3 of season 4 of this show have been compacted into a film and are available in some theaters right now if you want to check it out. I know some theaters around me are showing it right now, so I'm going to try to see if I can see that. But the show itself is available on many streaming platforms for seasons 1 through 3 so far, including Netflix, Peacock, Amazon Prime Video, and Freevee, among others. The story of Jesus Christ's life and miracles is central to Christianity, representing the incarnation of God, teaching moral principles, and emphasizing redemption through his sacrificial death and resurrection. His miracles signify divine authority, and his teachings serve as a model for humility, compassion, and servant leadership. This narrative forms the core of Christian faith, influencing worship, sacraments, and cultural expressions throughout history. After, we begin to arrive at the reason behind Lent with the film The Last Days in the Desert, which is another story that builds its own truth away from the Bible, but still holds a positive message. It explores a fictional episode from Jesus' 40 days of fasting and meditation in the desert. Ewan McGregor plays a dual role as both Jesus and a family man encountering a demon. As Jesus wrestles with his own inner struggles and attempts to offer guidance to the family, the film delves into themes of faith, temptation, and the complexities of human relationships. This film can be found on Peacock, Tubi, Freevee, Sling TV, or Amazon Prime Video. Jesus' temptation and 40 days in the desert hold crucial significance. They symbolize spiritual preparation for his ministry, identity with humanity's struggles, and showcase his victory over temptation. This period establishes a model for spiritual warfare, emphasizes discipline, and foreshadows the sacrificial nature of his mission on the cross. This is then followed by the betrayal of Jesus in the film Close to Jesus, Judas. Jesus' actions provoke anger from merchants and high priests. Judas, fearing for his family, gives the silver to Sarah. After a failed assassination, Romans retaliate by arresting relatives of influential families, including Judas's. Sarah reveals the truth, prompting Judas to ask Jesus for their release. Jesus promises freedom for all, and desperate, Judas ultimately betrays Jesus and takes his own life. This film can be seen on Amazon Prime Video, and in this, Judas serves as a cautionary figure, emphasizing human weakness and the possibility of redemption. And with that, we have arrived at the renowned film, The Passion of Christ, dealing with the passion and death of Jesus Christ. It depicts the final 12 hours of Jesus Christ's life, and the narrative unfolds from Jesus' betrayal in the Garden of Gethsemane to his crucifixion and resurrection. The film delves into the intense physical and emotional suffering endured by Jesus, portraying the events leading to his death in a visceral and graphic manner. This film can be watched on Freevee or Amazon Prime Video. Themes of sacrifice, redemption, and the profound impact of Jesus' crucifixion are central to the film's portrayal of the Passion. This film brilliantly depicts the stations of the cross and the physical pain Jesus endured in his final hours, alongside the spiritual pain through the inclusion of Satan in this film. This is then followed by the short film The Two Thieves, made by the same team behind The Chosen, starring the same actor Jonathan Rumi as Jesus. It displays Jesus' encounters with the two thieves crucified next to him before his death, and the different ways they each saw him. This short film can be watched on YouTube. It illustrates redemption and forgiveness, showing that sincere repentance is met with grace and inclusive salvation. The differing responses of the thieves reflect human reactions to Jesus, highlighting the choices individuals make in accepting or rejecting Christ. This narrative on the cross symbolizes divine grace, emphasizing Jesus' compassion, and reinforces theological themes of atonement and the assurance of salvation through faith. After is Ben-Hur, a film similar to Young Messiah that is not part of the Bible, but still a beautiful story that shows the way Christ would act. It follows the life of Judah Ben-Hur, a Jewish prince betrayed by his childhood friend Mazala. Set against the backdrop of ancient Rome, the story depicts Judah's journey from a wealthy prince to a slave, his encounters with Jesus Christ, and his quest for revenge against Mazala. The film climaxes with the iconic chariot race in the Roman circus, where Judah seeks both justice and redemption. There are two versions of Ben-Hur, with the 1959 version being critically acclaimed and having many awards, but the 2013 version evidently having better graphics, so watch whichever version you prefer. Both can be found for free though, through pirating, once again. Ben-Hur holds religious importance as it portrays Judah Ben-Hur's transformative journey influenced by encounters with Jesus. The story emphasizes themes of redemption, forgiveness, and moral growth. The parallel between Ben-Hur's path and Jesus' life adds symbolic depth, and the iconic chariot race becomes a metaphor for overcoming life's challenges. The film serves as a compelling exploration of faith and the enduring impact of encountering Christ's teachings. Another film displaying a not-so-accurate biblical story, but still a powerful one, is Barabbas. It explores the life of Barabbas, a notorious criminal mentioned in the Bible who was released instead of Jesus Christ. The narrative follows Barabbas from his imprisonment to his unexpected release, grappling with the implications of being spared while Jesus is crucified. As Barabbas navigates a tumultuous world, he becomes involved in various events, encountering early Christian communities and ultimately confronting his own beliefs and identity. It can be found for free though, through pirating, and the film delves into themes of faith, redemption, and the profound impact of encountering the life and teachings of Jesus. This is then followed by what Lent leads into after the passion and death of Christ in the form of the resurrection, with the film Risen. It follows Clavius, a Roman military tribune, tasked with investigating the mysterious disappearance of Jesus' body after the crucifixion. As Clavius searches for the missing body to prevent an uprising in Jerusalem, he encounters the disciples and witnesses post-resurrection events. The film explores Clavius' journey from skepticism to faith, portraying the resurrection through the eyes of a non-believer. This film is another one that can be found for free by pirating. The resurrection of Jesus is a central tenet in Christianity, symbolizing victory over death, affirming Jesus' divinity, and offering believers hope, redemption, and new life. It serves as a cornerstone of Christian faith, providing a model for Christian living and emphasizing the defeat of evil and sin. The resurrection, witnessed by disciples, fulfills prophecies and holds liturgical significance, celebrated prominently in Easter, showcasing the transformative power of the Christian message. Now we close this chapter of the Bible and continue into the Acts of the Apostles with Saul, the journey to Damascus. It explores the transformation of Saul of Tarsus into the Apostle Paul. The narrative follows Saul, a zealous prosecutor of early Christians, as he travels to Damascus with the intent of arresting followers of Jesus. However, during his journey, Saul experiences a dramatic encounter with the risen Christ, resulting in his conversion. This life-altering event leads Saul to become one of the most influential figures in the early Christian church. This film can be watched on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Pluto TV, and Freevee. Saul's conversion to Paul marks a dramatic transformation from a persecutor of Christians to a key figure in early Christianity. His encounter with the risen Christ on the road to Damascus showcases the transformative power of divine intervention and emphasizes God's boundless mercy. This is then followed by Paul, Apostle of Christ. It depicts the later years of the Apostle Paul's life. The narrative unfolds as Paul, imprisoned in Rome, reflects on his past and engages with his friend Luke. Meanwhile, the Christian community faces persecution under Emperor Nero. The film explores Paul's unwavering faith, his interactions with the early Christian community, and his commitment to spreading the message of Christ even in the face of adversity. This film can be seen on Starz, YouTube Premium, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Philo, and Sling TV. Themes of faith, endurance, and the power of forgiveness are central to the storyline, providing a portrayal of Paul's enduring legacy in the early Christian movement. With that though, this is what I guess we'll have to call the Bible Cinematic Universe, or honestly, I'm just going to call it the Bible on screen. Please let me know in the comments if there are any other films you believe should be in this world that I may have missed, because doing research for this video was harder than expected given how unknown many of these films are. With that though, thank you for watching this video, God bless you all, and see you next time on Big Flick Energy.